Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I'm on ChessCube. Going to kibitz another game from this list right here, 5-minute one. And here we go. We have a 2063 and a 2195. Pretty good time disadvantage going on. White needs to pick up the pace, but looks to be in a better position. These guys right here, certainly a liability, and this right here, a big asset right here. This little battery along the E file. I'm seeing maybe some tactics on this h6 square, and actually that is a threat right now. Knight right here is covered by this rook. It's really well placed here, functioning laterally. There isn't really a good move other than, I guess, king back. Actually, here we go. Bishop takes h. The only question I have is, do you take on this square first? I think rook takes, force the knight to retreat, and only then recapture. Okay, white instead running with just the immediate capture on h6. I'd be more inclined to force my opponent to retreat one of their pieces by capturing on e8 and only then capture on h6. But as it turns out, we just have this going on, and what could white be doing? Was there maybe even the possibility of rook g5? I'm not sure. This bishop is ready to once again exploit this pin on the g file. The knight retreats. You do not want to allow this capture. This bishop is going to be much better. Maybe just playing to this square on e3, or is it worthwhile to come all the coming all the way back, chasing this rook away to just c2? Actually, that was a case of what? Just chasing that rook away to a square it already wanted to go to. They want to just grab that pawn. So right here, and this knight is falling. Oh, we just have resignation right there. White was down on time, so was trying to pick up the pace, and with that, ended up just blundering. But they ended up leaving as well, so they're not going to be playing another game. So go fish for another one here. So let's see what these guys are up to. We have 1736 versus an 1876. And what is black is going to be the better side here. This looks like it was a French. Well, I really can't be sure of that, but something tells me with this, like bishop coming out here, maybe we had that sort of thing going on. It is saying on the right hand side the bird's opening, but okay, so we have check, and this is a pretty annoying bishop, not allowing that rook to conveniently come to that f8 square. Black is certainly going to be the better side. I think just rerouting the knight to, let's say, this f5 square, I think that'd be very purposeful. Allow this rook to see clearly. Putting pressure on c3 implies that this queen is going to be constrained in some way. And right now this bishop being hit, white is going to do well to avoid these exchanges, maybe coming back to f1 and relocating to this diagonal right here. Okay, so instead e2, looking for g4 at this point. What should black be doing here? Certainly picking up the pace, that's for one thing. A minute 55 just for black. Pretty good time disadvantage right here. I think backing up to this square would be best, just to keep a watchful eye on that f8 point. And so we do have the bishop pair for white. And is there a way that this knight could get active? Okay, clearly getting ready to grab that bishop, but I think just bishop back to f4. And now are we going to have something like h6 and g5? Ready to just force this bishop back to e5 and exchange it off. Then we just have a more simplified position, and that's what black should be looking to do. Being ahead in material, you should be looking to trade pieces. So there we go with the relocation, looking, I guess, for the f5 or g6 squares. In fact, knight g6 is probably a good move here. Knight g6, and this bishop is going to have to leave, although maybe not. Bishop g5, just knight takes bishop first. Knight takes bishop would have been good, but with that pawn exchange, what now occurs, we have another open file, and that's going to favor the side that has that rook, and certainly it's black that has that rook to e8. Oh, a serious blunder, h6. Bishop takes rook, hello. Right, h6, bishop takes rook. Oh no, is white not going to take the rook? Okay, I was starting to panic right there. Yeah, that was a tough one right there. Okay, let's see. Are we going to have resignation? Black is laughing at themselves and then saying good game and then leaving. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, is somebody going to play? I already did a video like this where it went on for forever. Let's try it again. What do we have? Okay, there we go. Here's a 5-minute game, and we had, from what it's saying on the right-hand side, a Sicilian. This right here is the biggest liability with regard to the white pawn structure. And this move, I don't quite understand it because this knight's going to play here. It should play here at least. Don't allow white to make this move and take that square away from the knight. So I don't know what this move accomplishes. This is a move that black was going to want to play anyhow. These guys rated 2084 and 2055. Fairly equal with regard to time. Who would you prefer in this position? I'm more inclined to just go with black here. Okay, so we have a bishop exchange going on. This is going to be a problem. Rook takes pawn right now. Will it run into some problems, however, with like queen d2? That could actually be a problem. And because black is not fully developed just yet, and this queen is currently essentially it's just the queen that's tied down to defending the bishop. This king doesn't want to be responsible for having to recapture. So we're going to have bishop takes, bishop, knight takes, and then rook takes. And then, well, we could actually still have some problems with something like queen d2, rook c1, trying to exploit this back rank just for the, you know, at this very moment when black is not fully developed right here. So do you take on c3 or do you take the bishop? I would be, I think, a bit tempted to just run with bishop takes bishop, chase this knight away to a square I'm not so sure it's comfortable with. I mean, it's putting pressure on these two, but it's eventually accessible to maybe like some sort of a tactic down the line. I'm not quite sure. Okay, so just forcing the issue instead. This right here, keep in mind, is going to be a permanent weakness. It's not going anywhere. There's no way to really alleviate or just get rid of this weakness. So white is in a tough spot right here. This pawn on e5 means that white will sometimes have an attack against the black king, but I'm not seeing that happen. Something as calm as castle, complete the development, and pressing forward with the doubling of rooks along the c-file and see exactly how white plans on defending c3. We just have takes right away. However, that's going to be, okay, knight has to go back, definitely, at this point. Knight c6, that's the only way to save that knight. And, okay, so black has netted a pawn, and it looks to be still quite all right. Just castle, and we have a 2-on-1 majority. In addition to that, this right here is something that white has to constantly watch over. I guess rook to b8 is the move here. Is there going to be anything better than rook to b8? It looks very passive, but I think that might be needed first, and then reorganizing type of moves like queen c7, knight a5. Okay, no, apparently quite all right with abandoning the b pawn, something I don't quite understand. Actually, I do understand it. Queen takes pawn would result in rook to b8, and if queen takes queen, rook takes rook, and only then recapture the queen. So that was a slick move right there. Rook to c8 is actually the better move, looking for now rook to c7 as a way to defend against this pawn, or even just b6 and knight a5. There we go. This is going to be very convenient. And actually, rook to c1, is this going to be an annoying pin? I don't think that there's going to be anything better. I've already been wrong once, though, so I'm not quite sure. Rook to c1 seems to be the way to go now. There's nothing else going on along the b file. And now a lashing out type of move, something I'm not quite sure is going to be that great at all. I don't see any attack against the black king. I think it would have been better to get on this only open file. Knight a5. Get that knight back to focusing maybe on the c4 square, but no, queen d7. Looking for what? I don't understand the queen d7 move right here. Now this knight can't make use of the a5 square. Black has worked themselves into a pin. In fact, we could have a couple pins going on. Rook to c1 is probably, I don't know if rook c1 is as good right now. Something like maybe knight to b8 and then the rooks come off. Black is the better side. I'm just wondering, you know, what are going to be the best moves? How exactly to capitalize on this material gain that black has right now? How to get these the majority rolling? And okay, so well, that queen could have gone there in one shot, but Just looking to finally move the knight, but it's apparently too late at this point. The knight is pinned. The queen has taken. She's having a lot of fun here on the 7th rank. D7, C7, and then B7. Finally ready to just move this knight to A5. That is the only reason that knight had to go back to C6 was to meet that queen B5 check move. So it belongs back here on that A5 square, allowing this. There we go. Now the rook is able to function. The rooks come off, and now it's the queen who has control of the C file, and also just an additional pawn, something like queen to C4. This is going to be a problem if a black knight could eventually get here, and now white is getting back a pawn, and in fact black is way down on time, something I completely didn't even give any thoughts to. Knight, oh, actually, I knew this about 10 moves ago, that G4 move was going to come into play. Looking for just a mate in 2, G6 followed by queen landing on the back rank, and this is going to be a serious problem. This is leading to mate, I believe. What's the mate right here? No, we don't have mate just yet. Something like check, and then king H6, queen F4, king takes. I'm not seeing the mate. Where does the king go? This is going to be a giant thorn. G6 threatens a mate in 2. This pawn is very strong. Queen F7, and then push, and we're going to have resignation. And if we don't have resignation, we're going to have black just losing on time. So one or the other, and black ends up losing on time. I think expended a ton of time with that the queen on its little journey along that 7th rank, and we are not going to be seeing another game. Black ends up taking off. So, going fishing again for another one. Here we go. All right, 4 minutes 7 seconds. We got an 1889 versus an 1807. What is going on here? What's the material count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Even with the material, and black looks to be in a pretty good position. This is a passed pawn, but it's blockaded, and now this is going to be an issue. In fact, that was a bad move, that knight to F6, because now white is just up material. We're going to see some win of material at this point, and that right there is a very good move. This bishop is going to be a beast on this E6 square. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. It watches over this square, this passed pawn very nicely, and this bishop is not really doing a whole lot. Unless there's a sacrifice on this square, this is not a powerful battery at all. Queen G6 slipping into this hole in the black position is threatening bishop takes pawn, winning another pawn, and I guess one would have to be a bit cautious of maybe an opposite color bishop ending in that case, like bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes knight, queen G7. Okay, this is what? This is maybe asking for some trouble, actually. Is there just rook takes bishop or something going on? I'm not sure right here. Okay, so definitely a move you want to be very cautious about if you're going to be placing one of your pieces in a position where your queen has to watch over it. And now white is just dodging the bishop takes B capture, and I think just B3, and then finally get this rook doing something else. This is probably the worst placed white piece, and how does black improve their position? Rook A to D8. I guess, I mean, what is it really doing in the corner right now? Black is under 2 minutes, down on time and material. But white should be doing B3. Is there something with just rook to D8 or moves like C4? Okay, instead getting on this file, seeing how this E file is shut down for as long as this bishop is on E6, maybe trying to make something happen against this F2 point. I'm not really seeing it. This is too strongly placed piece right here in the black position. These two positions, E6 and G6, are clearly under white's control right here, and it's not so easily, these pieces aren't easily chased away. This queen can't go too far, and now B4, I think you just play C4 right here, looking for C3. So I don't know that this is a good move right here. B4 is just allowing black to, in just a single move, have a passed pawn and be threatening maybe C3, kicking this guy around, but instead F2 is starting to look more like an issue here. Bishop takes, king takes, and then knight moves with discovered attacks on the king. So this is a sensitive point, maybe just negating this bishop's... There we go. Bishop to e3 is a very good move. Just getting rid of this... well, when you do a piece-for-piece comparison, what was the bishop doing on d2? Not a whole lot. And apparently black is going to be netting a piece unless rook c1, and if bishop takes, that's a blunder because of rook takes bishop, and we have a pin going on here. In fact, no matter how black captures, we could just have rook takes pawn right here, exploiting this pin. Rook takes b4 is going to be the move here. Is white going to see that? We have 2 minutes, 15 seconds. Yes, okay, rook takes b. This rook, excuse me, is now able to function laterally. Rook to this h file is going to be very strong, maybe. Yes, I think this is going to be a really strong sequence of moves coming up. Rook h4, and now we have thoughts of bishop takes h6. This is going to be very, very deadly. Oh, this would have been better, I think, converging on this h6 square. And in the meantime, there's still this this issue that black is in, where the queen is still tied down to having to watch over the bishop. Black has been able to work around this bishop right here on these dark squares in particular, and now this knight is having to watch over the bishop and also putting pressure on f2. I don't know that that's really going to be too much of a problem. Could we just have actually bishop takes h6 right now? That would lead to mate. If pawn takes, queen takes, and that's mate. Bishop takes h6 is the move. That's it. There's not going to be anything better than that. And okay, that was clearly missed. And now this queen is going to have to go where? We're going to have the offer of a queen exchange. Actually, this is a problem. This knight is just falling no matter where the queen goes. Big trouble for black. Down 31 seconds to a minute 37. Queen takes knight, and that's game over. Then this bishop falls. That's going to be it. Are we going to have queen takes knight? Uh-oh. Queen takes knight, or queen takes knight? No. Rook takes bishop. Okay. Just going with the 2 minor pieces for the rook, apparently. And if black is going to win, they better kick it into high gear right now. 28 seconds to a minute 16. Queen is threatening the rook, and now the whole house is falling. Queen takes bishop with the fork. Oh no, this is definitely turning out not so great now. Are we going to have queen takes bishop? 17 seconds. No. No, the queen is going back to e7. Okay. Well, this is bad news for black. Queen takes pawn is mate. How about that? I'm just seeing that. Wasn't that there for a couple moves? Queen takes pawn is mate. Queen takes h6, exploiting the pin. The pinned piece is a powerless one, and we're having some missed moves here. Many missed moves. Bishop coming back. Now instead looking for a skewer. This rook could give a check. The king could just dodge. 7 seconds left. What are we going to have? I'm having trouble guessing these guys' moves here. So, oh, just sacking the house apparently. So hopefully they play one more game. We will see. 1.2 seconds for black. And they are moving at a rate of 0.1 per second. And what do we have? Time issue. There we go. Are they going to play one more game? Apparently not. Okay. Let's try a different one. Okay. Let's try a different one like these guys. These guys want to play 2 in a row. I could tell. 254. We have a 21-22 versus a 21-14. And what is this? Okay, apparently a queen's gambit decline, Slav defense. Who's the better side here? Okay, even material. Oh, interesting position. Okay, so is this bishop better than the knight in this endgame? Certainly the king position is better than this guy over here. Very, very active. And now we have... what going on? Are we going to have a check? Ooh, this could be a pretty annoying move to have to be dealing with, because knight check, king takes, rook to d1, and the rook is lost. So what now? This king, well, maybe it's not so safe. Actually getting maybe even more active, looking to maybe gobble up these guys over here. Black, I think I'd be preferring black because of just well, not just, but the bishop and also the king position. And once this these pawns are resolved right here, once the tension is resolved between these guys, I think black is going to be better off right now. But now has this king gone too far? We're going to need this king coming back, I think. E5, king f5, and then here, or how about the more direct things? Like attacking the knight, chasing away the knight from defense of this pawn, and now this one is going to fall. But knight a3, looking to get a pawn back and create a passed b pawn. So still a very interesting endgame right here. Black under a minute, 2 minutes, 2 seconds for white to figure out things. Where should the knight go? A3. Is there something with giving a check first? Okay, there we go. I don't think that this is helping. This is allowing the king to get into a really good position, picking off the f2 pawn, h2 pawn, etc. So this was not an improvement right here to insert first this check move before just immediately going here with the knight. This king would certainly much rather be on f3 opposed to that f4 square where there was a wall stopping that king from making progress towards the white pawns. And now after rook takes, bishop takes, knight takes, okay, well, we're not even having that. This king is just going to grab these guys or even just b4, not even allowing this knight to grab the pawn. Okay, very interesting technique right here. This move right here is showing black is essentially saying, you know what, I'm going to watch over my base point. If white can't get to the f7 square, then they're not going to be able to get any of the pawns really. Because if f7 falls, then that means h7 would fall as well. And now this passed pawn is being pushed, and it's going to be a pretty difficult one to stop. In fact, this knight's going to be having to play to e2, or the rook is going to have to play to e2, and in the meantime, this bishop is going to start to give pieces problems right here. In fact, rook to d2, is that going to be game over? I think rook to d2, game over right there. This pawn is going to be way too fast. This king is not in position to help to defend it. And okay, we have a similar thing going on. Bishop giving check, chase the king away, and once again, rook to d2 should be one of those lights out type of moves. Here we go. Rook takes, pawn takes, the knight is being hit, and the pawn is getting ready to be pushed. That's going to be game over. In fact, what should we have here? Okay, threatening just that knight and then getting ready to push forward here. Not just yet. Backing the bishop up, and it's getting ready to be in a position to control the queening square. I think you push the pawn first. No, b4. b4, and now this knight has to get to that e2 square, so things are going to be much more difficult. Or not. This king is just abandoning this pawn. There was a role reversal right here, allowing the bishop to defend e3, and instead running with this king over here, but black only has 14.3 seconds to figure it all out, and this knight right here is very tricky. White is in a really good position. Oh, actually, this is going to be bad. This is a win for white now. This is an easy win for white at this point. Just take the pawn. Oh, a bad decision right there in time pressure. And now white has a mate in 2, queen b2, okay, or this way. So blitzing it out at this point, and we're going to have white winning this one, being up on time and in position here, certainly to give checkmate any second coming up. Hopefully these guys play one more. That was a very interesting endgame. Knight versus bishop, equal material, and being down on time right here. Actually, there was maybe possibilities for a stalemate there for a second. And what is going on? What's going on here? Okay, we just have the loss of time. Did black lose on time? What's going on? Yes. We have black forfeiting on time and white winning. Can we get another game here? I might have to encourage these guys. Play one more. Please. Pretty please. Hey. Go. Play. Why can't I type? There we go. Okay. They're going to do battle one more time. 21:02 versus 21:34. Here we go. Sicilian. And now what? Okay. looking to just build a center with that d4 move. We could still have white getting that in. I'm not quite sure of this move, that e5 move. Is this going to be a liability? Is black going to try and get rid of this as a potential target for white? This is an isolated pawn, and I guess you could start to treat it as being backwards, and now a lot of fuel is just being added to d4, and is white already in a tough spot here or what? What to do? b2 and d4, e3 being hit indirectly. Uh-oh. Are we going to have a quick kill here? What gets done right now? If the knight goes to b3 to defend against queen takes b2, bishop takes here, winning the pawn, and this is going to be bad news for white. Uh-oh. Is this some opening trap right here? White is clearly going into a deep think right now. Uh-oh. I don't see a good solution out of this one. Knight c2, bishop takes bishop, knight takes, queen takes b2, and then just develop this and try and work with what? Some sort of a gambited variation and speeding up the development. That might be quite all right. Knight c2, bishop takes, knight takes. No. Knight c2, bishop takes, knight takes, queen takes b2, and then knight to d2. White has a lead in development and still could maybe put pressure on this d pawn. Don't tell me that white has logged off. No way. Knight c2, I'm not seeing anything other than that. If I keep having to say the same moves, I'm not seeing anything else. So, yeah, I'm not really seeing it. This is hit 3 times. It's only defended twice. Something has to be done there. Knight takes knight? No, knight takes knight, bishop takes bishop. Right? Pawn takes, queen takes with check, and then you recapture on c6. I'm not seeing anything else. Knight c2, knight c2, knight c2. I've said that before in a video. Having to just repeat myself. I'm not sure what else. Don't tell me. Have they logged off? Has white logged off? 1 minute or 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Oh man. Did white just they're like, you know what? Oh, there we go. Why didn't I consider that move? Okay. Well, white has a lot of catching up to do with time. That's for sure. All right. I think well, that's interesting. Well, that's actually very interesting. Hitting at g7, certainly a more aggressive position than c2. You know, I was in completely defensive, a completely defensive mind frame right there with going to c2, but that knight does a similar thing. It watches over the bishop and is looking for checking opportunities, grabbing on g7, or even threatening right now to land a fork on d6. Are we going to have black ignoring this and just going in for queen takes on b2? I don't know that that could be allowed, actually. Queen takes b2, bishop takes bishop, queen takes rook, knight check, and that's going to be bad news for black. Discovered checks, pressure on f7, etc. What is the best move here? Bishop takes bishop, pawn takes, and then what gets done about this d6 square? Very interesting. Now it is black all of a sudden who's going into a giant think. 3 minutes 40 seconds. I don't know what to suggest here other than just bishop takes bishop, or because it seems like if this knight really wants to get to d6, it's going to go there. It has enough support. Queen and knight are converging on this, and this bishop is no longer reliable with regard to watching over that d6 square because of, you know, there's tension between these bishops. The bishop, you can regard it as being in a pin along this diagonal, and there we go. How is white going to recapture? And just recapturing with the knight, I think pawn takes would have been very interesting, allowing for possibilities of grabbing on, well, maybe on a g7 or landing a check, and now the knight is coming back to c2. So actually this same position could have come about with it being white's move at this point, I think. If knight c2 initially instead of knight f5, bishop takes bishop, knight here, and then just bring the knight in this position, I think there would have been an improvement with that line. If white was intending on recapturing with the knight, or actually just the pawn, we just have the loss of a rook right now. But is there a way to just take advantage of this pawn right now? And white has speedy development at this point, and is targeting f7. A knight d5 move would have been interesting as well, looking for just a fork on c7, and I don't know that there would have been a convenient way out of that. We could just have castle right now, and queen takes pawn is wouldn't be a good choice. And there we go. So now maybe something. No, this is not a good choice. Oh, queen c5, game over. Oh, that's going to be painful. Queen c5, and there goes the bishop after all of that. Oh, resignation. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. That was enough. And, well, not the best ending to a game, but certainly I hope you're able to take something away from it as always. Take care. Bye.